Well, today is Arbor Day. This is the perfect time to celebrate the importance of healthy trees. If you live in Denver, there's a good chance your yard has an ash tree. And right now, these trees are at risk because of something called the EAB. Take a look.
Get ready, I'm on my way, Who am I? I'm the EAB. Believe me, so hungry I will eat a tree. The leaves leave when I come to your area, cause I'm scary and causing hysteria. Yeah, I do look pretty, but
I don't know, that makes me want to dance. That's a fun, eye-catching way to learn about the EAB. But the city of Denver is actually taking the emerald ash borer epidemic very seriously. Rob Davis, the Denver city forester, joins me now with more on why the city wants you to be a smart ash. Good to see you, Rob.
Morning.
So the emerald ash borer, or EAB, it's arrived already in Denver?
You know, that's probably one of the trickiest questions to answer, because all the cities that it's ever been in, they typically don't find it until it's been there for 3 or 4 years. So it showed up in Boulder in 2013. Before that, nobody knew it was there. And in 2016, it moved up to Longmont. With me talking to other cities around the country, their recommendation was you should just be prepared, and if it's close, you should assume that it may be in your city.
And it could kill the tree.
Yep, yes, it's a very aggressive pest.
How much of Denver's urban forest actually consists of ash trees?
It's about 1 in 6 trees, so about 330,000 ash trees across all of Denver.
Wow, and look at how beautiful that is. Well, now, you know, we were looking at a beautiful tree. So why should I care about Denver's tree canopy?
You know, trees in an urban environment really are critical to quality of life. It's not just the pretty things on your street, but they contribute to, you know, climate, shading, cooling. They raise property values, and they just make a city a nicer place to live in.
How can I identify an ash tree if there's one in my yard?
Well, you know, the easiest thing is for viewers to go to beasmartash.org. We've got lots of good information there, easy to see pictures. Some key characteristics, you know, we talked about the diamond-shaped bark on older trees. Ash are one of 3 trees that have opposite branching. So if your buds or your branches are directly opposite on a stem, that's a good indicator that it's an ash tree. A leaf is made up of typically 5 to 7 leaflets where one's on the end, and then you have opposite little leaflets going down.
Okay.
But the easiest thing is go to the Be a Smart Ash webpage. Denver has inventoried all of our street trees, so you can go in there, you can enter your address, and you can look at street trees up and down your street and actually find an ash tree, and you can go and take a look to see if you want to, you know, most people learn visually.
That's themselves. So smart and so great. And just in case you're tuning in, I want to say that web address slower so you know exactly what he's saying. beasmartash.org, A-S-H, beasmartash.org, and you can find out. So what does this EAB look like? What does this bug look like?
Well, it's a very small metallic insect. This is probably really too small to see, but it's a small green metallic beetle that could fit on a penny. It's about 1/2 inch long, and you know, so there are some other insects out there that look like it, but that's really how I would describe it.
You said there are similar insects that may look like it.
Yeah, it's the tricky part is there's lots of different beetles out there. Some have the similar color, some have a similar shape. So, and even beyond that, there's some native borers that actually bore into ash trees as well. They're not as damaging. So you can even see exit holes on an ash tree. So there are some things out there that can mimic and confuse and make it a little harder to identify.
Rob, how do I know if my ash tree has already been attacked by an EAB?
There's different symptoms out there. The most common way people notice in the beginning is you start to see the canopy of the tree start to decline. You see branches die back. You might find exit holes, little holes in the bark from the exiting adults. Another good symptom is the northern flicker, a type of like a woodpecker. They like to feed on the larva under the bark. So if you see a lot of that flicker activity feeding on the tree, those are all different ways to tell. And
there's something going on.
Yeah.
If I have an ash tree in my yard, can I keep it or should I get rid of it?
So that's part of being a smart ash. You know, what we're trying to get people to do is, you know, once you learn how to identify an ash tree, learn, you know, if you have one in your yard, and then you've got to decide how valuable that tree is to you. So there's lots of treatment options. You can protect it, or you can develop a plan of how to deal with the tree if you feel like it's not worth that investment.
What are some of those options?
So there's different treatments that you can do. There's some that will protect the tree for 2 to 3 years through a trunk injection. There's some that are more annual, like a soil drench or a trunk spray. And those trunk injections have been shown to be 90% effective. So if you just love your tree, like the ash tree means so much to you, those really are worthwhile to protect, because it takes 70 years to replace a 70-year tree.
Yeah, and they're so beautiful, and all the memories you have with your kids growing up too, and on those trees and around those trees and enjoying it. Is there such a thing as a second life after a tree has been removed?
Well, so we always tell people, I like to use the word replace instead of remove.
Okay.
So if you've got you're in a new neighborhood and you've got an ash tree that's 5 years old, that to me is a better tree to maybe consider replacing it with a new tree. Get a new start. It's those trees that have been there for decades that are really irreplaceable.
So if I'm starting to plant trees in my yard, I should probably consider something different than an ash tree.
I think the time in Denver for planting ash trees is past. It's time to think of different choices. And the biggest thing that I would tell our residents is, don't just decide I want all of these to look the same. I want to match my neighbors. Try to get something different, because diversity is what really protects.
Who wants to match their neighbors?
Yeah, be different. Pick something different.
Absolutely. What's Denver Parks and Rec going to do? Are you going to remove or replace, those ash trees?
So we've got a mix. We've got a mixed strategy of, we've identified where the biggest and most important trees are, and we're going to protect those. We're going to treat them, and we're going to keep them for the remaining lifespan that those trees have. We're doing that in parks, and we're also doing it in Denver street rights of way. So if your street tree's out there and it was 12 inches and larger and it's in good condition, the city's treating those on a 3-year cycle.
Good.
But as far as smaller trees, we're also replacing those. But property owners, private property, the city isn't taking action in those spots.
Very nice. Well, thank you for giving us the update and teaching us how to be a smart ash. That's very, very important, and you can be a smart ash. 1 in 6 trees, believe it or not, in Denver are ash trees. If we do nothing, it's just a matter of time before they all will be devoured by the emerald ash borer. Identify if you have an ash tree on your property, and then, of course, regularly check for signs of the EAB. Now, if the trees display any symptoms of EAB infestation, contact the office of the city forester immediately by email. Here's that email: forestry@denvergov.org. You can also call this local number at 720-913-0651 for more information. And of course, visit this website, beasmartash.org.